Hello! Today is the day, everyone. It's the culmination of the 2025 Women's Prize season, and after months of reading and discussing so many books, the winners of both the fiction and nonfiction category are going to be announced very soon in just, I'm not wearing a watch. I don't know why I just looked at my wrist. In around a couple hours time tonight. And I feel extremely lucky. I've been invited along to the ceremony, so I want to take you along with me, show you what I can of the party and behind the scenes and my instant reaction to the winners, whoever they may be. Now, the weather in London today, it's been raining a bit this afternoon, but it's predicted that to be clear and warm this evening, which will be great because the ceremony takes place in a beautiful park in central London, so outside. So hopefully we won't have to be huddled under tents to hear who the winners are. Now, if you watched my video with Anna last week discussing the fiction shortlist and these 6 books, you'll know that our joint prediction is for the Safekeep to win. I know Anna is also really rooting for all 4s, and personally, I am really torn between Fundamentally and the Safekeep. I think they would both make fantastic winners, but honestly, I would be really glad to see any of these authors win the award tonight, which I know sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but I honestly enjoyed reading all of these books, and as always with book prizes, it's not about who wins for me, but about the process of reading and discovering so many books that I might not have read otherwise. And let's not forget, there were some fantastic books on the long lists as well that I absolutely loved reading. Now, for the nonfiction short list, out of these 6 books, honestly, the only book I've not read from this shortlist is The Story of the Heart. I've heard it's an incredibly emotional read, so I felt like I've had to steel myself before reading it, but also I've been just so busy reading so many other things. But I have read the other 5 books, and I also really enjoyed and got so much out of all of these different books on many different subjects. But personally for me, I would really love to see Agent Zoe win, because I thought this was an incredible historical account of an extraordinary woman who fought for her country of Poland and throughout World War II, and afterwards was an incredibly inspiring figure, and so that was an incredible discovery for me, and it read to me like a thriller, because her life was so eventful. But we will see who actually wins in just a couple hours time, or whenever it is. But I'm gonna go along now to this ceremony. I'll get something to eat first, but I'll try to show you what I can. I'm on my way and I'm almost at the venue, but I'm a little bit early, so that gives me time to have my annual chat and catch up with my old friend, Virginia Woolf. Hey, Virginia, how are you doing? Great. And do you have any predictions for who's going to win this year's Women's Prize for Fiction? Oh, okay. Virginia is partial to and admires Miranda July's All Fours, because in it the protagonist creates a room of her own by redecorating a hotel room. And I think she also enjoys some of the sapphic bits later on in the novel. Okay, I'm on my way to the party now. I've made it to the party and everything is looking really beautiful. These are all the flowers that are going to be passed out to the authors later on. And then, very excitingly, I can show you these are the statuettes and the trophies that are going to be given to the authors very soon.
The tent 5 minutes ago you came. So I'm sorry you've been standing here in the heat waiting all of this time. So welcome everybody to this extraordinary historic evening. We are celebrating the 30th Women's Prize for Fiction. I think you could do better. 30th Women's Prize for Fiction. Well done. And the second Women's Prize for Non-Fiction. And so I remember that was the non-fiction shortlisted authors. I love your spirit, ladies. That's fantastic. And welcome to everybody who's watching this for the first time. We are doing this on live stream, so we have a global audience here tonight as well. We're going to be celebrating 12 exceptional books on the 2 shortlists. And we're also going to be celebrating the winner of the Women's Prize Outstanding Contribution Achievement Award. And more of that a bit later on. But ladies and gentlemen and everybody, 30 years, eh? So it's all right, you don't have to do it every time. Because we've got a lot to get through, and if there's too much whooping, we will not be out of here till tomorrow. But some of you were there. It was May 1996 that I first took to the stage at what was the National Liberal Club. So I was surrounded by pictures of whiskered gentlemen, not a woman in sight, to announce the very first winner. Now, this is an evening for celebration, but I am going to take you back. Because when things start to work, and this works, people forget. But those of you who were there then will remember it was very brutal and tough launching the Women's Prize for Fiction. You know how the press reacted. You know how antagonistic and angry they were at the idea of women supporting other women. And many of the things were said, you will remember them. The thing is, Kate, if women were any good at writing, they'd win the real prizes. I know, you can hiss. This pantomime season. Pantomime season has come early. Another one said to me, the thing is, Kate, women don't really write literature, do they? And sorry, you don't have to hiss all of them. And one person even got hold of my home telephone number and rang up and managed to speak to my beloved husband and tell him he should be ashamed at letting me do this. However, we did not give up and we did not give in because we believed in what we were doing. And at this moment, I do want to pay tribute to all of the people who believed from the start and supported us from the start. And in particular, the founding committee members, Jane Gregory, Clare Alexander, Susan Sandon, Carol Welsh, and the amazing Harriet Hastings. And it's been a long old road, and as part of that, to every woman who has given her time over the past 30 years, and the 5 years before that getting money, as a judge, a panelist, a mentor, a researcher, a patron, a cheerleader, a supporter, look what you did. So, little by little, people changed their minds. And other people joined in, and everybody wanted to come to the party. And now, the Women's Prizes is the biggest annual celebration of women's creativity anywhere in the world. And it's a growing community of millions. I started this, I do appreciate that. Of millions of writers, readers, and supporters. And put simply, our aim remains now, as it was then, to honour, celebrate, and amplify exceptional work by women, and to put those books in the hands of readers, whoever they are, who'd appreciate them. And now, last year, we launched our sister prize, as you know, the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction, and that was inspired... Okay. You're now like the naughty children who were allowed to make a noise once, and now you're going to do it all the way through. although I do appreciate the sentiment. But the reason we launched it was that we did research and discovered how narrative non-fiction by women was still treated completely different from that by their male counterparts. So less review space, only 30% odd review space is non-fiction by women, and when you take out cookery, healthcare, and frankly menopause, there are almost no books reviewed at all by women. There are lower advances given to the authors, and there's less space in bookshops, and there is no limit to what a woman can or cannot write. Everyone here is an artist, and she, he, they should do what they want to write, and we should be grateful for that. That night, the Charlotte, which is the beautiful statue by Anne Christopher, made her debut appearance alongside the Bessie that was gifted many years ago for the prize for fiction, and there is a third one on there tonight as well. And it's not just, this is so important, about the books that are already published and out there. It's about making space for any woman who wants to write to feel that she can have the support and advice that she needs. And we now have a huge mentoring and new writing program that is run with Curtis Brown Creative, and supported by Audible. It's 5 years old, and we now have had, well, nearly 15,000 entries. And it's a program where people put in up to 10,000 words of an unpublished or unagented novel, and though we give support and mentoring and teaching to try to break down some of the barriers to women who don't feel they've got a right to be heard. And I'm thrilled that our 2025 winner, Rosie Rowell, is here, and our 2025 scholar, Jack Felipez, is here, as are, I think, the whole long list. So a huge round of applause for all these nominations. And thank you to my fellow judges, Anna Davies, Jess Malloy, Chloe Timms, Dreda Say Mitchell, and Clare Coda. We had a complete laugh. I'm nearly done. Yesterday, in Bedford Square, we held our one-day festival, Women's Prize Live. 800 people came to listen to authors, to thinkers, to attend workshops, ahead of listening to all 12 shortlisted authors for the prize for fiction and non-fiction read from their work. And you know, because it's the Women's Prize, we laid on a surprise. The Queen came. And people were very surprised by this, because people were just turning around going, is that the Queen? Is that actually the Queen? And it was the Queen. And the reason we invited Queen Camilla to come was, again, when we were at a turning point in the prize. 15 years ago, I said, would you come and present the award? And she said she would. And she invited many of our young judges who were shadow judging panel to Clarence's house to meet them. And of course, it was actually the very first thing that Queen Camilla did. She was obviously not the Queen then. And since then, she's become a huge champion, not only of literacy and literature, but also women and women's voices. So it was wonderful that she came. But we know it's a tricky old world out there. It's challenging. Rights that we thought were secure and inviolate are under threat. Women and girls' access to learning, to self-determination, to bodily autonomy is being denied in many quarters. And we are living through an age of techno-feudalism, where power is concentrated in the hands of a tiny number of men, and the opportunities to spread discord, misinformation, disinformation, and misogyny are unparalleled. Writers' livelihoods are under threat from AI and tech companies who steal and bully and attempt to silence any of us who stand up for transparency and for fairness. But you know what? We cannot despair, and we will not despair, because thus it ever was. Because it is this, it is books and words and free speech that makes the difference, that offers an alternative. And now more than ever, we must continue to stand shoulder to shoulder and fight for the right for everybody's voice to be heard. And we must be courageous enough to gather as loving friends in bookshops and libraries, on the streets, in church halls, in town halls. We cannot be bystanders, now more than ever. So to all of you here, not just the writers and the judges who have been part of this from the get-go, but all of you who publish and promote and mentor and support and enable, thank you. Because without all of you, and that includes the sponsors, all of us who are writers will not be able to get our work out there, and we have to do that. Because We know this. Books matter. Reading matters. Connection matters. Keeping women's stories centre stage matters. And championing women's voices, as the Women's Prize has done for more than 30 years now. Voices that are unfettered, true, brave, unfiltered, matters. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of you that you stood still and you listened to that. Thank you. I chaired a panel of former Women's Prize judges, including Scarlett Curtis, Bonnie Greer, Vic Hope and Gillian Beer. And between us, we had people in their 90s and people in their 20s. And it was incredible because we read this huge amount of work from women from all over the world, of course, and they had to have made a contribution to literature, made a contribution to their own body of work that was exceptional. But the key thing was somebody who had used her voice throughout her dazzling and brilliant career to advocate for others and to promote unheard and underheard women's voices. We announced it last week, but of course, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only recipient of the Outstanding Contribution Award is Bernardine Evaristo.
I'm going to say a few words. I always say to young writers who are starting out that they should focus on building a lifelong career with all the commitment, determination, learning and resourcefulness that entails, rather than expecting instant external success and being so disappointed when it doesn't materialise, they give up. Of course, most of the time, they don't listen to me. I certainly wouldn't have listened to me when I was a hot-headed young gun. But over the course of my writing career, I learned through experience the importance of not only continuing to develop my own career and to work through all the obstacles, but to actively participate in the literature ecosystem and initiate my own schemes and projects to support other writers. I did not sacrifice my career for my advocacy, but they operated in tandem. To be thus honoured for my contribution to literature by the Women's Prize has been the most unexpected and overwhelmingly joyful experience. I know that many other writers and people working in literature have spent their careers opening doors for others, including, for example, the Women in Publishing activist organisation of the 1980s. And of course, the Women's Prize itself has been the most powerful and consistent force for good for women's writing over 3 decades. We all owe a huge debt of thanks to the people behind it, past and present, especially co-founder and founder-director Kate Mosse and executive director Clare Shanahan. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Bookman Philanthropies, who have so generously funded this honour. I began my professional career as a writer for theatre in 1982 and started publishing books in 1994. For the past 20 years, my editor has been the phenomenal Simon Prosser, publishing, yes please, round of applause for Simon! Publishing director of Hamish Hamilton at Penguin Random House, without whom my career would not have reached this stage. I feel such gratitude towards him and the teams I've worked with there over the years for enabling my growth as a writer and providing the best publishing home for my books. And a huge thank you to my amazing agent, Emma Patterson, and the great team at my agency, Aitken Alexander Associates. Last but not least, a massive shout out to my husband, AKA him indoors, although he's here tonight. He has been the most wonderful cheerleader of my career and my greatest supporter through its ups and downs ever since we met on an online dating website in 2005. And I lied about my age, and he lied about his height. I finish by asking us to consider that today, even in countries where women have long enjoyed feminist freedoms, such as this country, misogyny, as we've already heard from Kate, is shamelessly on the rise. And it behoves us all to actively counteract it in whatever way we can, because complacency risks returning to the patriarchal status quo of old. While the Women's Prize, which has done so much to develop and celebrate women's voices and stories, continues to lead the way, I urge us all to activate our inner activist spirits and think about what we can do, from the micro to the macro, to ensure women's voices continue to be heard forever. Thank you.
Just to come forward a little bit for us. So I think right there. And if it's straight
Here we
down.
go. Now, you remember I asked you to cheer and you did, and then I asked you to stop and you did. Now, all cheering is allowed, okay? So, welcome to the stage, the chair of the 2025 Women's Prize for Non-Fiction judging panel, Kavita Puri.
My fellow judges Emma, Lizzie, Elizabeth Jane and Leah have loved every moment of judging the Non-Fiction Prize and working with the incredible Women's Prize team and the community they've created in the past 30 years. What a thing you've built, Kate. You have changed the cultural and literary landscape. Over 6 months, we've read nearly 150 books by female authors from around the world in genres as wide-ranging as neuroscience, nature, current affairs, astrophysics and history. Outstanding, authoritative writers we celebrate today, as well as the publishing community who raise and promote these voices. In these times when things can feel so bleak, non-fiction books can be a balm, enrich us, help us understand how we got here, show us a way out, make us hear a different argument, see a new perspective, feel another experience, all grounded in rigor, research, facts. We can see our connectedness, understand complexity, or even dare to hope of what might be possible in this precious world we inhabit. The 5 judges felt all of this as we read the submissions. It's why this prize is so important. It's in its 2nd year and I hope it will continue to be funded and supported so these books by women can travel far and open minds. Right now, there are writers and journalists around the world who have been killed, are under attack, in prison, writing in secret, whose books are censored or banned in public libraries. Their crime, daring to bear witness, challenging power, or expressing their truth. We offer them our solidarity and recognise the valour in what they do, because books are never a luxury. They are essential, and what it is to be in a society that is free. When we were reading the submissions, we 5 were judging the quality of writing, depth of research, originality of voice, and always asking, will this book be read in decades to come? We congratulate the authors on our long list, and to our 6 shortlisted writers, thank you for your remarkable books in exploring what we inherit and where we belong, what it means to live alongside nature, how we save our oceans, which existed for billions of years before we did. The documentation of ordinary lives of women who dare to hope for a better future, for writing back into history a heroine from World War II too long overlooked, and showing how in the depths of grief, a generous and selfless act can give life to another because of the miracle of transplant surgery. Each are unforgettable books and tell us in their own way what it is to live alongside the natural world, one another and ourselves, what it means to exist. I'd like to welcome our wonderful shortlisted authors onto the stage.
1,000 Threads. Rachel Clarke, The Story of a Heart. Chloe Dalton, Raising Hare. Clare Molley, Ancient Zone. Helen Scales, What the Wild Sea Can Be. Yuan, Private Revolutions.
bit nice and close together for us.
I don't know you. Yes, I am looking at you, but I don't know your name, so you are lucky. Right. So next, to welcome to the stage the chair of the fiction panel, Kit Devar.
Hello, everybody. For this childhood reluctant reader who came from a house with no books, judging the 2025 Women's Prize for Fiction has been one of the highlights of my career. I've had the privilege of not only chairing a panel with Amelia, Bryony, Deborah and Diana, who are all the most interesting, insightful and powerful women, but we each got the chance to take a deep dive into the hearts and minds of women from all over the world. And what we discovered in our reading and celebrated with our long list are books of wisdom and truth, unapologetic in their exploration of the human condition and the fractured, dangerous and beautiful world that we live in. On behalf of the judges, I'd like to thank all the authors we read for allowing us to take those journeys with you, with them, for showing us new worlds explained in innovative and exciting ways, old worlds that we thought we knew, small lives battling huge adversaries from within and without, and dangerous worlds in dangerous times. These books have raised questions for which there are sometimes no answers, but they have made us think and wonder and marvel. These are books written with joy and humour and love and wisdom, books and ideas that will stay with us long after the last page has been turned. And this evening our thanks go particularly to our shortlisted authors, to Aria Aber for the lyrical and heartbreaking Good Girl, to Miranda July for dazzling, uncompromising All Fours, to Sanam Mahloudji for sweeping us off our feet with the Persians, to Elizabeth Strout for the deceptively gentle Tell Me Everything, to Yael van der Wouden for the Safekeep, beautiful, shocking and sensuous, and to Nussaibah Younis for making us laugh and cry with Fundamentally. Thank you also to all the people behind the scenes at the Women's Prize who've supported us judges over this last year and who've made this day and this award possible. Thank you. And I'd like to welcome to the stage the shortlisted authors.
Aria Aber, Good Girl. Miranda July, All Fours. Sanam Mahloudji, The Persians. Elizabeth Strout, Tell Me Everything. Yael van der Wouden, The Safekeep. Nussaibah, Younis, Fundamentally.
Please welcome back to the stage to announce the winner of the 2025 Women's Prize for Non-Fiction, Chair of Judges, Kavita Puri.
The winning book left a profound and long-lasting impression on us. It gives me great pleasure to announce the 2025 Women's Prize for Non-Fiction to The Story of a Heart.
And a trophy level.
So, I wrote you these notes just in case because I thought I might be a little tipsy and forget people's names, and I'm already one of those things. Thank you so incredibly much. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and it is a very difficult time to be a mother watching your teenage daughter grow up in the world in 2025. And in that context, I am so extraordinarily grateful to the Women's Prize for the vital and necessary work that it does to celebrate and amplify women's voices across the globe. I have literally been a feminist since I was too young to know what that word even meant, and I will never stop working to ensure that women's stories are heard as clearly and as valued and as cherished as men's are. Thank you, Dave, my husband, who is over there and has championed me for 20 years of marriage and believed in me and is the absolute love of my life. I've really embarrassed him now. And thank you to everybody who believed in the story of a heart and helped me to write the book into being. My amazing editor, Richard Bezick, who is somewhere out there in a sea of faces, and to Grace, Vincent and everybody at Little Brown and at Scribner in the US, and to my agent Clare Alexander, who again is lurking over there and who is just the most astonishing woman, more than an agent, a friend, a role model, an absolute diva. And all the NHS staff who gave up their time with such generosity in their busy lives to talk to me, let me interview them for this book, and did so with amazing candour and humanity as they described to me their vital role in this incredible journey, the journey of Kira's heart. And so to the families, Max, who today is a strapping 6'2", 16-year-old who likes kickboxing, doing it to his chest, and frightens his mum when he goes off to gigs with no hand sanitizer. And 2 days ago finished his GCSEs. To Max and his parents, Emma and Paul, and Kira. I want to take a moment to say out loud the names of her family: Jo, Loanna, Bradley, Caitlin, Keely, and Kyra May. A father, a mother, a brother, and sisters, all of whom in the most unimaginable circumstances found the strength within themselves to look outwards towards others with astounding kindness and love. Yesterday, by chance, Kira should have been 17 years old. It was her birthday, and instead she lives on miraculously in the 2 adults and the 2 children whose lives she saved. And I want to just dwell for a moment on what that means. Because, as we've already heard, we inhabit a time when the stories that predominate are ones of force and domination and violence and aggression. Gaza, Ukraine, the military rolling down the streets of Los Angeles. It would be so easy in 2025 to conclude from those stories that the core of what it is to be a human being is dark and pinch and mean and grasping, that in truth it's brute force that truly defines us. Telling the story of Kira's heart mattered to me because it upends that narrative. More than anything, a heart transplant is a form of radical altruism, an act of hope and defiance and simple human decency. It is very easy to forget in our fractured world, in which the loudest voices are so often the ugly and the shrill ones, that most people, most of the time, just try their best to be good. And we do this, of course, because we care about each other. Care, that act of attending to another human being with kindness and tenderness, isn't fluffy or easy or unskilled or cheap. It isn't inherently female either, but it is undervalued in 1,000 different ways because it's regarded as female. It is not treated as the precious, vital, irreplaceable human resource that it is, and I know that better than anyone as an NHS doctor. Only a few weeks ago, for example, the British government thought it was absolutely acceptable to stop giving visas to foreign care workers because their unskilled work, as they described it, was deemed less important than talking a tough line on immigration, even though they knew that withholding those visas from those care workers would cause desperate harm to people who are vulnerable and need care, would cause our hospitals to be filled up even more than they are already, would cause a palliative care doctor like me to see more patients dying on trolleys in corridors now in 2025 because there aren't enough beds. That is how care is devalued in Britain in 2025. I believe that care is nothing less than an index of how we survive as a society and as a species. And if there is one thing I have learned in my years as a doctor, it's that what makes the unbearable bearable is each other. That story, as exemplified so incredibly beautifully by Max and Kira's families, is true too. And I believed it was worth telling. Thank you very much.
Another first. It's, as you know, it's 30 years. I'm getting old now, and consequently I thought I'll wear mascara. What a mistake! Oh my God, thank you. Congratulations to Rachel Clarke. And now, the 30th winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction will be announced by Kit Deval.
Delighted to announce that the 2025 Women's Prize for Fiction goes to the Safekeep.
Oh no. Alright, we're all in this together. Mascara. Alright. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you to the Women's Prize. I've been an avid reader of everything you've recommended for years now, and it's truly unreal to be at the receiving end of your huge consideration. Thank you to the judges who have read us all so kindly and whose job I do not envy. I'm on this list with my own favorite authors. All of you I would not have been able to make this decision in your stead. So A+, really. I'm gonna speak to you as if you're family now. 800 of you, so please be gentle and kind. I mean, I know that you are, I've heard you cheer. I was a girl until I turned 13. And then as I hit puberty, all that was supposed to happen did not quite happen. And if it did happen, it happened too much. And all at once my girlhood became an uncertain fact. I won't thrill you too much, with the specifics, but the long and the short of it is that hormonally I am intersex. This little fact. Yes, please do share. Why not? This little fact defined my life throughout my teens until I advocated for the healthcare that I needed, the surgery and the hormones that I needed, which not all intersex people need. Not all intersex people feel at odds with their gender presentation. And I mentioned the fact that I did, because in the few precious moments here on stage, I am receiving truly the greatest honor of my life as a woman, presenting to you as a woman and accepting this Women's Prize. And that is because of every single trans person who fought for healthcare, who changed the system, societal standards themselves. I stand on their shoulders. Back in 2021, when I wrote this book, I imagined this book in a time of my own great grief to make up for something that I had very little of, which was hope. I wanted to write two hopeless characters, and I wanted to give them what I hadn't been able to give myself, that hope. I have this fear, and I don't think it's unfounded, that if I only tell myself stories of good versus evil, of heroic actions versus heinous crimes, I will forget where complicity comes from. Small and uninterested acts of dismissal. The Safekeep is a reminder to myself that we are all witness, we are all complicit, and we can all change. In the years since I finished the novel, the conversation it's entered into felt all the more important to me in the face of violence in Gaza and the West Bank, and as I've said, the violence my own queer and trans community faces worldwide. I hope that this grand honor of a prize means that I'm not alone in seeking that reminder. I want to thank my family, who are my everything. My friends who've taught me every single smart thing that I know. My girlfriend Charlotte, who, and I'm still forever sad about this, cannot in fact be folded up and taken with me in my pocket everywhere I go. My agents, Anna Stein and Carolina Sutton, without whom I'll be lost, who've somehow carried me here miraculously. My ingenious UK editor who's made, well, miracles happen, Isabel Wall. My US editor, Lauren Ween, who has walked through fire for this book to make it what it is today. The Viking team, the Avid Reader team, the Chaos team, Lifa Sayo and Talia. I love you all, and thank you all readers that you are.
But actually, from me on the stage and for all of you, that is it. You've been great. 30 years of great. The bar is now open. I will be so disappointed if I don't see some dancing later. And see you back here in 2026. Thank you very much and congratulations.
So we have a winner,
We do.
the Safekeep, which we did jointly predict would win this
It
year's
came out on
prize.
top.
Our system, your system that you just created, obviously worked because there we go.
Yeah.
I know you were rooting for all fours, and I was partly hopeful for Fundamentally as well, but
the Safekeep was my second favourite, and I think, as I said, that I think it was probably all the judges' second favourite, which does tend to be what wins these things. But it's a great winner and a really, really wonderful speech.
fantastic speech. Both of the speeches, were so
very
emotional
powerful.
and really well done. And
Just what the prize needs, I think.
Yes,
A
I
really
agree.
beautiful moment. After that speech, I'm like, that's what absolutely should have won.
absolutely, yeah. An incredible novel. entertaining to read, so like surprising from part to part, and so
sexy.
meaningful and sexy.
Sorry, I know
which
you're
is the
saying all
theme
the
of-
beautiful things, but you know, it's also sexy.
No, it's an important thing. It's
yeah,
a important thing.
it's hard to write good sex.
Very true. And wouldn't you know, with the non-fiction prize, The Story of the Heart is the one book on the shortlist that I've not read yet.
Of course.
So
I mean, I haven't
it's
read
always
any
the
of
way.
them,
It's always the way.
But I'm looking forward to reading it.
I am
Obviously
too.
A very powerful, special book. Yeah. And
Yeah.
another beautiful speech.
Yeah, really powerful speech. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that experience. And it's good to see the Safekeep like kind of get its dues after, being shortlisted
and a
for the Booker and
debut,
other.
Such an accomplished debut. A great winner.
Yeah, really fantastic. This has been a really wonderful party. You've been having a good time?
Yes, it's always just the nicest party.
It is.
Lovely vibes, lots of lovely people. It's always a very nice time. And they feed us properly.
Yeah.
There's proper food, which is my criteria of a good party.
It is important, and copious amounts of bubbly as well,
Yeah.
which is good. Which I've been trying to pace myself on,
No,
not to
same.
go too
I can tell I'm
crazy.
getting old because I'm alternating it with water. Who am I?
No, it's very sensible. An important thing to do. So thank you for watching us throughout the season of this year's prize.
I love that we call it a season. Like it's like this is okay, at this point we're on like season 7 or something, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
We should start
it's
officially
like
calling it like season 7. Season 8. Yeah.
of Eric and Neneh, Women's Prize.
Yeah.
Super fans.
Yeah, we love it. Thank you for watching it along with us.
So good. And do you want to make any little predictions for next year?
No.
I always like to do this at the end, but even though I know it's
you read
ridiculous.
No, but you're good to it because you read so much more front list than I do these days. Like I don't really read. I've probably read, like I can't even think of something I've read that's probably eligible. I've been reading fantasy from the 1920s, so I don't think that will win. You're the expert with these things these days.
And you've been very busy book touring. Alice with a Y launches next week, or the official launch party for Anna's
it's actually
new novel.
technically out now, but we're doing the party next week, so yeah.
Very exciting. But I just read recently the novel Audition by Katie Kitamura. Have you heard of that?
No, but do you know she's married to Hare Kunzru?
Yes, she is.
Which I met Harry at Hay Festival.
Oh, cool.
And he was, he was mentioning his wife and said she was a writer, and I was like, have I heard of her? And he was like, oh yeah, I have, I have heard of her.
Literary power couple.
Nice. Yes, I'm like kind of obsessed with him now as a literary power couple, so I must read that. Yes.
Yeah, Audition is
I've heard very good things.
Excellent, but very, very tricksy novel because it can be interpreted in so many different ways.
Oh, but I like that.
So,
okay.
Yeah, but a very literary novel. So yeah, that's why I think we may see it on some book prize lists in the coming seasons.
Okay.
Maybe next year for the Women's Prize.
Exciting.
We will see.
I'm led by you with these things. Yes, but I'll no doubt from a place of deep ignorance have a go at predicting. You know what though? I'm good at predicting. I haven't read any of the ones I've predicted, and I still got quite a few of them right. So,
yeah.
You know.
And I think you mentioned Ministry of Time like last year.
Oh, yes, I did mention Ministry of Time, didn't I? Which
was on the long list.
Yes,
So
okay, there we go. Yeah.
She still has her finger on the pulse.
Ish, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for watching. Let Anna go and get some more food now.
Thanks, yeah.
I'm now on the train on the way home. What a fantastic celebration that was. Although it was really hot inside of that tent, I was getting so sweaty. But I've been given a goodie bag for the non-fiction prize. So gonna see what is inside of this. And okay, there's a book, and it's raising hair. Oh, lovely. I loved reading this so much. So I'm going to give this, I think, to my parents. I think my parents would really enjoy reading it. But I also picked up for myself a cookie to eat on the way home because the desserts weren't coming out before I left. So I wanted to get something sweet for the way home. But yeah, what a fantastic season for the prize. What powerful speeches. But yeah, I'd love to hear in the comments below, what do you think of the winners of the fiction and the non-fiction category? Please please let me know about that. Have you read them? Are you interested in reading them now? But okay, yeah, this was just wonderful. But I'm gonna go home and have a cool shower now to cool off a bit. But I got to chat with Elizabeth Strout and her husband, her wonderful husband. So that was a really lovely thing that happened this evening as well. But I also got to chat with so many other publishing people and bookish people, and yeah, it was just really a great celebration of reading. But thank you for watching, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye bye.